I know some of you are watching via live stream on YouTube. Welcome to our live streamers that are watching on YouTube. Text a friend, tell a friend that you are joining. I'm going to continue to let you all load in. This is my favorite part because I try to read the chat. I already see you. I see you, Hawaii. Aloha from Honolulu, Hawaii, Cleveland, Ohio, Philly is in the house. Chicago. I was just in Chicago last week. We'll be in Chicago again this week. Shout out to all the Win with Black Women Sisters from Chicago. Saw you in Chicago. DC is in the house. Maryland's in the house. I don't know if I'm seeing things, but I swear I saw Johnsonville, South Carolina. Now, there's only 1,491 people to live in Johnsonville, but maybe it's one of my cousins. Mississippi is in the house. New Jersey is in the house. Durham is in the house. Indiana, San Diego, San Francisco, Laurel, Maryland is in the house. Nashville, Oakland. Woo, sisters, you are from across the country. And welcome to Win with Black Women. Sisters, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, you know I do this every single time. It's so important for us to understand who we are and what we are about. If you are joining us, welcome. This is Sundays with Win with Black Women. Win with Black Women, we are a network of Black women leaders across this country and internationally, often joining in. We are a network of Black women leaders that represent a wide array of disciplines. We are Black women in tech, Black women in business, Black women in faith, education, entertainment, sports, movement. We are Black women who care about this country and each other and the communities that we live in and the communities that we serve. If you are joining us for the first time, we have been around for almost 5 years now. August the 2nd, August the 1st, technically, will make 5 years that Win with Black Women has been around. We started nearly 5 years ago around our common goal to speak out against racism and sexism as it was interplaying in then the conversation about who was going to be the next vice president of the United States. And we got on a call that night, and it was 90 of us that got on that call. And since then, we have grown to nearly 200,000 women in our network. We have written countless open letters. More than 35,000 Black women have lent their name to open letters. We have helped in partnership and in coalition with Black women-led organization and Black women leaders, some dynamic, historic work in this country. We are so proud of our work in partnership with Black women-led organizations to help to secure very pivotal moments in this country, whether it was seeing the election of our nation's first Black woman Vice President Kamala Harris, or our nation's first Black woman on the U.S. Supreme Court, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, or our nation's first Black woman on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, or countless others in the Biden-Harris administration, or our work in partnership with the WNBA Players Association to help lend our voices to the importance of ensuring that our sister Brittany Griner BG is home, or our work in sports and entertainment to ensure that we are speaking up and we are showing that our dollars matter, whether it's our support of pivotal films like The Little Mermaid, The Color Purple, First Kill, and so many other great works of art that center and are developed by Black women, or if it's our work to uplift Black women in business or Black women who are writing books. Win with Black Women is centered around 3 goals. Number 1, ensuring that we speak up and against racism and sexism against Black women anywhere in any place in this country. Number 2, working in our individual capacity to elect Black women up and down the ballot, no matter what position she is running for. We believe that representation matters. And number 3, last but certainly not least, lifting up the collective power and image of Black women and Black women-led and centered organizations. That is what we've been about for the last 5 years. And many of you joined us for the first time now just over a year ago, when we had a historic call where we had 40 44,000 Black women on one Zoom call. Shout out to my good soror, artist Hampshire Cohen, who made that phone call to open up that Zoom and really help usher in history. And shout out to what we have now. We've continued to count, and we've been getting reports, so we can actually substantiate these reports of the nearly 100,000 people who watch that Zoom. They couldn't necessarily get on the Zoom because we're at capacity, but they were in Clubhouse, they were on Zooms, conference calls, Twitch, Google Meet. They were everywhere watching that Zoom. And that Zoom sparked more than 200 Zoom groups, Zoom organizations that followed suit in support of Vice President Kamala Harris's historic confirmation and her announcement that she was going to be at the top of the ticket. And those groups together had raised nearly $20 million that went towards our democracy efforts. So, sisters, we've done a lot of great work together. And I see many of you in the chat saying, I was there, let's go, we did that. And the one thing that I want us all to remember now, over a year later, is that that power did not dissipate. That power didn't go anywhere. That power still remains here with us. And each and every time we gather, each and every time any Black woman or Black women-led organization gather, please always remember how you felt in that moment. I want you to remember what it felt like if you donated for the first time, what it felt like to be in sisterhood, what it felt like to be in power, what it felt like the very next day to be able to post on your social media that I was one of the 44,000 or that I was there, because we still have that power. No election result, not one person, not one crazy law, not one wild and crazy person sitting in any one office can ever take that power away. And with that, sisters, as you know, we open in the spirit here at Win with Black Women, and we close in the spirit. And at the ending of our meetings, once we close in the spirit, we go into what we call as after hours. It's very unique, and it's an opportunity that allows you to come off of the webinar and to engage and talk. So you could go into a room with other sisters from this call, and you could select the room. We have 3 to 4 rooms, and you can actually be in dialogue and conversation on the various topics. And sisters, again, I want to thank you for the last 5 years of tuning in on Sunday afternoons, Sunday evenings, wherever you are in the country of the world, and particularly in the last year for just the preservation of the work to continue to uplift the power and the image, and most importantly, the sisterhood of Black women, and particularly that of Black women-centered organizations. And with that, I would like to invite Sister Jackie DuPont Walker to the Win with Black Women stage to open us in the spirit.
Coming on. Thank you so much, Joteka, and to my sisters on Win with Black Women. I am a resident of Los Angeles and called to social justice work in my family, church, and community. So I need to mirror the righteous indignation of Jesus, who, whenever he found evil, greed, and self-serving people, wherever it was found, Jesus handled it. Each of us has a story of when we were called to this work, and God is calling each one of us now. When we have the confirmation, we know what we need to do. Your coming to Win with Black Women, my sisters, is one of those calls. You may still be listening for the undeniable sign to move out that it's your time. You may be engaged in this movement for what it has become and poised for how you will be used in the days ahead. Thank you, Joteka. Thank you, Holly. Thank you to the whole team. Thank you to the after hours leaders. Thank you to the spiritual opening and closing warriors. Every single sister in this space, you are on assignment. Your life's journey up to this point has led you here. For some, you are reconnecting with people you have not talked to or seen for years. For others, it's a first time among those in this gathering. Make no mistake, your role in this movement is ordained by God. And you all have something to do. All you have to do is be faithful and available. Now, I took a time to remember and reflect with each of the encounters that I've had in my life. It was 1984. Reverend Jesse Jackson had the nerve to announce his presidency for President of the United States of America. That was a year nobody could believe what they were hearing. He was a young upstart. He was an opportunist, they said, and definitely unqualified because he had never served in elected office. But some believed, and among them was a young woman who believed in his dreams. Her name was Donna Brazile. I had never met Donna Brazile, but she was key on the East Coast campaign, and I worked for then Assemblywoman Maxine Waters on the West Coast, who was chair of the West Coast campaign. When my son in middle school said he and his friends wanted to work on the campaign and took time away from their play in the afternoon to go to the campaign headquarters where Tavis Smiley worked with them on their homework before doing campaign work, I knew that God was challenging me to do something to get on board. I took leave from my good government job to work on the Jesse Jackson campaign. Remember, this is 1984. We all came aboard in 1988, but in 1984, these two sisters, Donna Brazile and Maxine Waters, modeled being out of the box thinkers, and the rest is history. As a mom, I was concerned about my kids growing up on the West Coast. My daughter, who was just very angry with the Los Angeles Unified School System, needed to go to an HBCU. And we took the time to drive across country, and she landed on Spelman. After some anxious moments, Spelman accepted her. In her first year, she did well. But I had been called to start an organization. And that organization, even though it didn't have support of the community, was something I knew God had called me to do. We were calling my daughter to tell her she had to come home because she was at Spelman without a scholarship. She said, Mom, I'm getting ready to see the sister president, Dr. Janetta Cole. I have an appointment. We said, okay, babe, go to the appointment. She came back from the appointment and said, Dr. Janetta Cole said someone wanted to be an anthropologist, that she would let me be her research helper. Well, our hearts were broken. How could we tell her that she was coming home to California, would not be there? So we asked, what does that mean? She said, I don't know, let me ask her. We didn't hear from her for a week or two. Then we called back and said, babe, what did it mean? She said, oh, Mom, I forgot to tell you, tuition, room, and board. I share those because when we do what God has called us to do, it's not our plan, but God's plan. There are a couple of women on this call tonight that God is speaking to you. God wants you to hear what God is calling you to do. Being here in this midst of Black women is important. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing. Now God is calling you to be like the women who are on this call, bold in spirit, uncompromising in integrity, inclusive in all who come to the table with you. So daily, we are hearing deliberately hateful acts that have killed and maimed innocent people and have taken people's freedom away. Today, we have a lot of disinformation, innuendos, and plain lies designed to kill our spirits. But that won't happen because this is a movement that God has ordained. God has prepared us for this movement, Win with Black women at a time such as this. Per Congressman Jim Clyburn, we're living in the era of the third Reconstruction. We have come together to share our resources, our time, our support, our love, and our Black communities. We bring our own links in history. I bring the African Methodist Episcopal Church, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, my community activism to you with sisters. So what's next? Psalms 46 tells us, God is a safe place to hide, ready to help when we need him. We stand fearless, the cliff edge of doom, courageous in sea storms and earthquakes, before the rush and roar of oceans, the tremors of stiff mountains. And it goes further in Psalms 34. The wicked commit slow suicide. They waste their lives in hateful acts. So let us pray today as we go forward. From this moment forward, whoever you see in this movement and on the screen, there's a reason God has connected us at this time. So to all in this circle tonight, God gave me a message for you. God says, I believe in you. You are capable of handling whatever comes next. You are doing your best, and that is enough. You're more resilient than the disaster that struck. You will rise from this stronger and wiser than before. You have the strength to rebuild your life piece by piece It's okay to take breaks and recharge. What you're doing is great. Every step forward is progress, and it's okay not to be okay. We're reminded, God, that you're in charge and have a plan for each of our lives. All we have to do is be faithful and available. God, take charge of every storm so we feel you in the storm. We already know our thoughts and our spirits. It's time for our mustard seed faith to be evident and a testimony to the action that will follow. Thank you, God, for these Black sisters who have been given one more chance to let the world see that you have called us to be. Lord, please be with everyone waiting to be made whole. Keep them safe, give them a peace that passes all understanding, patience to know your will, to hear your voice, to heed your action, and to bring help to them soon. Amen and amen.
To be available and ready. Thank you so much for that beautiful opening in the spirit, sister. Thank you. Well, now this next sister is no stranger to Win with Black Women. She's been with us since day one. She is a day one Win with Black Women OG. Yeah, she is on the Google group. She is a fighter. She is a leader, the conscience of the Congress. She is the chairwoman of the Congressional Black Caucus. She is the congressional representative of New York. Congressional District 9, representing New York, New York. I know New York is in the house. I see you in the chat. Please let us welcome to have a conversation and an update with us about not only something we have been fighting against, but what we have also been fighting for. To talk to us about that big, bad, ugly bill, but also the importance of uterine fibroid awareness. It's a very important month for us to have this conversation, and it impacts Black women disproportionately. And we are so honored to have Congresswoman Yvette Clarke here from the conscience of the Congress. Thank you so much for being here, and welcome back to Win with Black Women.
So wonderful to be back with you once again, Joteka. And let me say greetings and good evening to all of my sisters on the call this evening. As Sister Joteka Edie has said, I am Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, and I'm the proud member of Congress that represents the New York 9th Congressional District, as well as the chair of the Congressional Black Caucus for the 119th session of Congress. My district covers Central and Southwest Brooklyn. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Joteka and Holly and the team over at Win with Black Women for their consistent, their persistence, their fortitude in the face of all that we are trying to accomplish in our communities. I'm so grateful to them for the work that they continue to do on behalf of all of our communities. And it's important that we have this discussion this evening, this pressing issues that are impacting our communities and how we can work together to turn the tide on this administration by taking back the House in the 2026 primaries. Sisters, I know it's as clear to you as it is to me that once again, Black women continue to stand in the gap and lead us during a time that is tumultuous. There are mounting attacks on equity, opportunity, democracy, and quite frankly, on Black bodies. And it's disproportionately harming Black people and Black communities. Right now, we are at a crossroads. Donald Trump's big, ugly bill has become the big, ugly law. It will strip over 17 million Americans from health coverage, such as Medicaid, with implications for Medicare and the Affordable Care Act. It will increase food insecurity across this nation. It will deprive our young people of the scholarships, and not so young, I might add, scholarships, and Pell Grants that they have historically received to seek higher education. It is nearly a 1,000-page attack on working families, the poor, the sick, our veterans, and the elderly. Indeed, Republicans in Washington have delivered a direct blow to the health and dignity of millions of Americans, which will again disproportionately affect Black families who already face systemic barriers to quality health care. These cuts will deepen health disparities that we all witnessed during the pandemic, increase maternal mortality rates, and threaten the well-being of our elders and our children. Families will be forced to choose between groceries and copays for their health insurance, and that's if they can get care at all. This is not just policy we're talking about here, of course. This is our people's lives. And Republicans could care less about the consequences of their actions. They are ignoring the harm this bill will cause as it takes healthcare away, as it increases the hunger in our communities and buries our nation in debt. Because to oppose this legislation would be to oppose the billionaires who bought their votes. This is cruelty disguised as fiscal policy. And I have to tell you that many of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle know better. But unfortunately, they have decided to throw their lot in with Donald Trump and his MAGA movement. We will see food ripped out of the hands of children and their families through nearly $200 billion in SNAP cuts, which will impact as many as 6 million Black children and teens. Hospitals and nursing homes will lose funding, staffing, resources, and many will eventually close, particularly in the rural parts of America. This law adds $3.3 trillion to the national debt and will, while lining the pockets of billionaires through tax cuts. This is the greatest wealth shift from the poor to the rich that this nation has ever experienced. And Republicans act intentionally. It's just unbelievable. They are delaying the immediate damage of the big ugly law until after the 2026 midterms, so that their constituents won't feel the impacts until after they voted these members in for another term. This is all deceit by design. So it is paramount that we put an end to this radical regime and vote them out. Democrats in the House of Representatives in the United States Senate can't do this alone. We need our people by our side. Then, in opposition of this bill and other extreme policies that this administration has forced upon the American people through executive orders, when we have decided to hit the road, y'all, we are holding town halls across this nation with Republican districts within Republican districts to inform their constituents on how this will impact their daily lives. It's ironic that the Speaker of the House from Louisiana, one of the states that has the largest number of Medicaid recipients, has had the nerve to tell his conference not to hold town hall meetings, just to avoid what they know is inevitable, and that is for people to rise up and understand that this will have a dramatic impact, and certainly was not what they voted for. So we have showed up and showed out in protests, exercising our duties in oversight, voting against their extreme agenda, and taking them to court. The 2026 midterms are shaping up to be high-stakes elections with the control of Congress at play and potential shifts in the power at the state level. We need our communities informed, registered to vote, and ready to mobilize. Every seat in the House is up for re-election in 2026, as well as 35 seats in the United States Senate. Senate. Currently, in the House of Representatives, we have a narrow margin. We only need to pick up 3 seats and hold the seats that we currently have, pick up 3 additional seats to win back the House. And we've seen the damage that Republicans have done in the short time that they've held the majority. Within just 6 months, thousands of federal workers have been fired, federal agencies gutted, blatant attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, not only in the federal government, but in the private sector and academia as well. And jobs, loss of jobs, a great and complete disregard for our Constitution and our rights. Our communities cannot afford another 2 years of this Trump administration and the acquiescence of the legislative branch, which is to be a co-equal branch to the executive branch, but is acting once again as wholly owned subsidiaries of Donald Trump and his administration. So make no mistake, this administration is targeting Black and brown people by rolling back diversity, equity, and inclusion programs within the government and, as I've stated, within the private sector. Just recently, reports are estimating over 300,000 Black women have left the labor market due to Trump's attacks on federal agencies and federal contractors, where Black women make up over 12% of the federal workforce. Black women contribute significantly and lead in education and healthcare fields, which are also under attack by this administration, an administration that is hell-bent on dismantling the Department of Education and gutting access to healthcare. These are not numbers. These are our mothers, our daughters, our sisters. These are entrepreneurs, essential workers whose careers and contributions are being erased by policies that prioritize exclusion over equity and white supremacy over a diverse civil society. We know that when Black women thrive, our communities prosper. And as the most educated population in this country, the most vocal and politically charged, there's an outright assault on us and our households. That is why it is imperative that we hold forums such as this to uplift and encourage one another to be strong and fearless and bold in this moment. Although we did not win in 2024, the world recognized the power of Black women in this country, and this administration had also taken notice. We must lead in our organizations, in our churches, in our communities, and communicate the importance of being present in this moment, in this volatile political environment. And so you need to know that in Texas, we are witnessing yet another assault on democracy through partisan gerrymandering. The redistricting process has surgically diluted the political power of Black and brown communities, violating the core principles that every vote should carry equal weight. And we're not only seeing this in Texas, we're seeing it in Ohio, we're seeing it in in Wisconsin, we're seeing it in Missouri, and in these red states. These folks have a real discussion going on about what they continue to hype, which is the great replacement theory. All of this is driving their actions. So let us be clear. This is modern day voter suppression. And that voter suppression is intended to put Republicans in position to be the majority in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, in perpetuity. We can't allow that to happen, my sisters. We have got to do the work. We have got to register our voters. We've got to overwhelm the polls. We've got to use every strategy within our toolkit to make sure that we have the victory in 2026. Republicans are coming after blue districts in Texas. And with the seats of our invaluable CBC members, like Representative Al Green and the seat that remains vacant that was held by Sheila Jackson Lee. The stakes could not be higher. Trump understands how vital it is to keep his hold on Congress, and in true fashion, Republicans are trying to keep their power in the present and future elections by targeting us and our communities. Trump and Republicans in Congress know they cannot win fairly in 2026, so they are demanding that Texas Governor Greg Abbott undermine the democracy by doing a very rare mid-decade redistricting in Texas. All eyes are on Texas now, and if Trump is successful, this will be a litmus test for Republicans to use congressional map redistricting in an intentional effort to dilute Black voting power. We cannot call ourselves a free and fair democracy while stripping healthcare, economic opportunity, political voices from Black Americans, and a clear violation of the United States Constitution. Millions of Americans are hitting the streets to protest Republicans' unpopular agenda, and with the help of our communities mobilizing and becoming politically involved, more politically involved, we know that they are at risk of losing their House majority in 2026. So I want to assure you that the CBC and the leader of the Democrats in the House, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, are working diligently to bring awareness and make this redistricting battle a national issue. So you may not live in Texas, but what happens in Texas will ultimately determine the way that we will have to wage this battle in the 2026 election cycle. So I want all of us to understand that this is an existential threat to all of us across this nation. So I need your help. Democrats in the House and the Senate can't do this alone. This is not just for elected officials. This is for the electorate. This is for our people. And we have got to educate, inform, debunk all of the propaganda that will certainly be thrown at our people to make sure that they are disengaged in voting. And we are calling on each and every organization, fraternity, sorority, religious organization to inform members and the community of their intent to suppress our votes. We need you to call and to write not only the members of Congress, but your local, state elected officials as well. Let them know that this is unconstitutional and that we demand fair and free elections. So I want you to know that Democrats are using every tool, every resource to fight and hold this administration accountable. The odds are not in our favor. However, we've been consistent and intentional in communicating, advocating, legislating, and taking them to court, blocking their efforts to destroy decades of change. As Black women, we are the bedrock of this country. We're often cast aside, underappreciated, underpaid, and the most discriminated against. But as I close, I also want to just highlight that as we close out, this month is Uterine Fibroid Awareness Month. And we have introduced a uterine health legislative package that encompasses bills to fund research, preventative measures, and resources to women who are suffering from uterine fibroids as well as uterine cancer. Millions of women across America suffer from fibroids, and this debilitating disease disproportionately impacts Black women. 25% of Black women will suffer from uterine fibroids before their 25th birthday. And I'm sure that statistic encompasses some of you, including me, on this call. I recently sat down with Academy Award-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o during a visit that she made to Capitol Hill to announce her struggle with the disease, which she's had since 2014, the same year that she won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for her performance in 12 Years a Slave. Her testimony serves as a reminder that uterine fibroids doesn't discriminate, and it doesn't matter what your socioeconomic background may be. As a woman who has confronted a battle with uterine fibroids, the battle for health care that we deserve and have been denied is personal to me. And it is to millions of women across this nation pleading for the support they need to overcome this disease, to understand how it afflicts us, and to do the research that is required to make sure that we can help our young girls as they move through puberty to understand what is happening within their bodies. These bills represent a major step forward in repairing the harms Black women have felt for centuries. And together, this legislative package is far more than the sum of its parts. It's a resounding call that we will not accept a status quo that is totally unacceptable, particularly when it comes to the lives of Black women and Black men and our families, because we all know that Black lives matter. Let me thank you once again, Sister Joteka Edie, Soror, and Holly, for inviting me to speak with you tonight. We have a long road ahead of us. This is not just about the elections in 2026. We are going to have to rebuild our nation. And when I say rebuild, it has to be rebuilt through the lens of our lived experience alongside everyone else that populates this nation. And we have to take this nation, make sure that we are back in control, and that we can only do it with Black women at the helm of political action. So let me thank you all once again, my sisters. Thank you for your consistent support of Win with Black Women. You are that cohort that makes it so, that makes, lifts us up. When I tell you, when we are fighting in Congress, there are 31 Black women in the United States Congress, including 2 U.S. senators. We are lifted by the work that you do each and every day in every corner of this nation. And the fact that we come together through Win with Black Women, that is a gift that keeps on giving. God bless you, God keep you, God strengthen you in the days ahead.
You would think after 5 years that I would have it figured out. But thank you, Congresswoman Clark, for just your steadfast leadership, for breaking down the impact of this big bag ugly bill and talking about the importance of uterine fibroid awareness, something that so many of Black women are impacted by, and many have shared in the chat of their own personal journey. We thank you, and you are always welcome here back at Win with Black Women. Thank you. Sisters, I want to go into this next conversation, and I know we have a limited amount of time because our leaders who are joining us have to leave to do another meeting on this very topic. But you heard Congresswoman Clark talk about what is happening in Texas. You all may have seen or heard there was a big national call that was led by Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and D4 Women in Action earlier this week for all people who were concerned. But we are honored to have Sister Wilson here, who is the executive director of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus. Welcome, sister. And I know you're going to bring on our next 2 guests who are going to speak with us. And then following, we will show a video clip that will encapsulate all that they are speaking on. Over to you, Sister Wilson.
Thank you so much, Joteka, for creating this platform and amplifying the fact that Black women just aren't about creating moments, but we are about creating movements and movements that win. And if I could just take a little point of personal privilege, because I'm a proud Divine Nine member, and I love all of my Divine Nine sisters, and Delta Sigma Theta is very well represented tonight, but let me give a big shout out to all of my sisters of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, who are also standing proudly in this fight. Hey, Holly Okay, now back to my script. As Congresswoman Clark said, all eyes are on Texas. And from Barbara Jordan to Beyonce, we like to say that everything is bigger and better in Texas. And while that's true, it also translates into bigger fights. But I'm proud to introduce two powerhouse Texas women who ain't never scared to put up a fight, especially when our communities are under attack as they are right now. Joining us tonight are the chairwoman of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, proudly representing District 120, our fearless leader and coalition builder, Representative Barbara Gervin Hawkins, who is a member of the Special Session House Committee on Redistricting, and also representing District 113 in the Texas House, our phenomenal caucus vice chair, Representative Retta Andrews Bowers, the woman who led the fight to ensure the passage of the Crown Act here in Texas with overwhelming bipartisan support. Win with Black Women Family, please help me in welcoming tonight our fearless chair, our own Silver Fox, Representative Barbara Gervin Hawkins.
Wow, thank you for that, Director Shelley. And thank you, Joteka, and all the women in the Win with Black Women. It's so great to be on with y'all this evening because we're in a time such as this when we as sisters can bind together to do the things that we need to do. With our strong faith and our commitment to family, we can accomplish many things. So I'm Barbara Gervin Hawkins, State Representative of District 120 out of San Antonio, Texas, serving my fifth term. I also serve as the chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus. And I thank y'all for giving me this opportunity and this platform to giving you an update on Texas. Now, as you all know, we've got challenging times ahead, but with the level of support that I'm feeling tonight, I know we can accomplish our goal. So I'm encouraged if we continue to work together. Now, we need your assistance. We need assistance all over the country because Texas is being under attack. I just want to quickly share the state of play. We were put into a special session which lasts about 30 days that only the governor can call, but he can call as many special sessions as he wants to. And this is after a lengthy session that ended in May. The goal with the president sticking his arm over in Texas is to pick up 5 congressional seats so that the Republicans can stay in power. Now, we're talking about seats that have a historical significance to Texas. We're talking about Barbara Jordan's seat. We're talking about the historic Mickey Leland seat. We're talking about Sheila Jackson Lee's seat. We're talking about Sylvester Turner's seat and Al Green. We're talking about that's most precious to us as Texans. So we must fight. And so we've got a strategy that's going to impact many different things. We've got a legal strategy, which we're going to go into the courts. We also have a messaging strategy that we're working on our experts to fine tune. We also have a rule strategy on the floor, see what maneuvers that we can put in place to make sure that we can get some things done. But we also have a national strategy. We've been going around the country meeting with our state governors, making sure they're in tune, our Democratic state governors, making sure they're in tune to what's going on. We're going to need your help when things get tough, because it will get tough around the country. But I think our biggest game is our ground game. They may have the money, but we've got the people. And so for me, the ground game, if you know anyone in Texas, please reach out to them and make sure that they're engaged. This thing that's happening to us is shameful. We had a big major flood where over 133 people died, but yet we're focusing on redistricting. So we call it the power grab, the major power grab, and we cannot have that. And so I just want to say, women, please stay with us. And as our vice chair during her election period said, we can't go back. We can't go back. Our forefathers and mothers died for us to have opportunities, and we want to keep them in front of us. And I'm going to say this because we cannot let Republicans define our words. Let's stay woke. Let's stay woke because all woke saying is be aware, be in tune, and know what's going on. And I'm here this evening with my first vice chair, Representative Retta Andrews Bowers, who also works hard in the House to get things done. She's gotten significant pieces of legislation passed on a bipartisan manner because she knows what it takes to negotiate and make things happen. Again, I say thank you. Vice Chair Bowers, you got the floor.
Thank you so much, Chairwoman Gervin Hawkins. Thank you so much, Shelley, to our ED, to my Sarah, Joteka Edie, to all the Sarahs and all the D9 family. I am State Representative Retta Andrews Bowers. I serve Texas House District 113, and I also am the Vice Chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus. I'm serving in my 4th term and soon to be seeking a 5th. So we're ready to stay in this. This is a long game for us here in Texas, and we have to do that because, as the chairwoman said, Texas is under attack. And with this special session that Governor Abbott has called under the pressure of Donald Trump, it is targeting congressional districts, as she said, that have people in them, Black and brown, that look like us. So these seats are where these elected leaders are our voices. So we have to make sure that we are showing up. We need your help, sisters. So we need you to show up with purpose. Attend redistricting hearings, whether it's in person or virtually, to share your lived experiences. Speak to how these maps shape access to healthcare, public schools, flood relief, and policing. When voices like ours rise together, legislators and media cannot steer around us. We need you to tell your stories, sisters, and submit them. Write or submit testimony. Come to an in-person hearing if you are in Texas, but highlight how weakened districts directly affect Black families. Include stories about delayed flood aid. We right now have been experiencing and living through a tragedy. School closures or lack of access to clinics in your neighborhood. Make it personal. Put it in your words. Your words can sway public perception and legal opinion. Mobilize your network, sisters. Assemble your church groups, your sororities, your community leaders, and neighbors around this issue. Host watch parties for hearings, distribute sample testimony templates, and call local media. When we as Black women lead organizing, the movement only builds an unstoppable momentum. And I want to tell you why we can't wait. This isn't just about a map. It's about our future. Allowing these districts to be dismantled means fewer Black votes in Congress, fewer resources, and fewer protections against unjust laws. When Black women's voices speak up, they echo beyond Texas. They echo across this nation. You are powerful, you're needed, and you're essential to this fight. The time to act is now. So let's stand in our history and ensure our future. When you can support us, there's a few other things you can do for us. You can support the cause financially. Help us raise funds for legal defense, emergency travel, because y'all, we're prepared to fight like hell and use every tool in the toolbox. Never question that. And potential support from members if we need to break quorum. We know we need to, but we have to do it when the time and if the time becomes necessary. Every dollar you give helps to protect those of us fighting on the front lines. those of us that will include, here's our QR code. Please look on the screen. Our QR code is there. You can give through using the QR code or using our texting mechanism, which is texting TXLBC 25 to 5355. You can make calls from every corner. If you're not in Texas, just know you're not powerless. Contact your members of Congress and demand federal oversight and public accountability. Gerrymandering anywhere threatens democracy everywhere. And as you've heard Representative Massara, Representative Clark say, what happens here in Texas is just the beginning, just the tip of the iceberg. What happens here is what they plan to do across this nation. One other thing, and certainly not the last, that I ask is that you pray with purpose. We heard the opening of this call tonight, and all I could think was to say amen. But we believe in the power of prayer. So pray for strength, pray for strategy, pray for our safety, and for every advocate, lawmaker, and family affected. Faith and action walk hand in hand. Thank you so much for this time. Thank you so much, Sarah, Joteka Edie, and the Win with Black Women family. Thank you to all of you across the nation watching. And just know, again, we are prepared to fight like hell. Thank you.
Well, thank you all so much, and thank you for your leadership. And there are more than 2,000 Black women and our supporters that are watching this Zoom right now, between our socials, watching live streaming, and actually on the Zoom right now. And I think it's just really powerful to just look at this picture before you of what you see. Who's leading in Texas? Who is leading on the day-to-day, executive director of the legislative caucus? Who is leading as those legislators with a strategy? You heard a strategy breakdown. You heard that there is a legislative strategy, of course. There is a ground strategy, of course. There is also a strategy, a legal strategy that is in place. There is a comprehensive strategy that has been put in place that is led by these amazing leaders on the ground in Texas. And what they have made clear is that they need all of our support. They need our resources. They need anything that we can do, particularly our calls into anyone who lives and resides in Texas. But most importantly, they said they need our prayers with purpose. Prayer with purpose, and also, might I add, prayer with works. This is what it is going to take. It is going to take strategy. It is going to take prayer. It is going to take determination. We know that these are not sprints, these are marathons. And these brave leaders are on the forefronts of what is happening in Texas, and recognize that what happens in Texas impacts us all. It is a long game strategy about this nation, not just about Texas. So we do not have the luxury to sit back and just say, oh, goodness, that's just happening in Texas. No, it will impact you. It will impact this country. It will impact this entire nation. So what happens in Texas and how goes Texas will impact you. And that is why it is so important for you to be tuned in, for you to engage, for you to support these sisters, not only with your resources, if you can. We know it is a tough time in this country for all, but if you can, please give resources. But the one thing that we all have that we can give is a prayer with purpose and prayer with works. So we want to thank these sisters. We know that they have to move on because they are still working. They are still going, and they are still leading. We thank you, Executive Director Wilson. We thank you, Representative Gervin Hawkins, Representative Andrews Bowers. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your vision and your focus. And most importantly, thank you for the way that you stand in sisterhood, in solidarity, and the way that you stand in legacy of women like Congresswoman Barbara Jordan and other great women that have come from Texas that have hailed Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, and so many that represented Texas and continues their spirit and legacy lives on in all of us. So we thank you for the work, and we continue to ask that you come back and give us updates. Sisters, I want to play this video because we have this video that we had prior, but we know that they may have to leave, but we want you to have a context of what is happening in Texas. And I also want to just note that when you hear them say break quorum, it's very important to understand that holding quorum in the Texas legislature is really important for them to be able to continue to do business and what many would say is often sometimes shenanigans. And so breaking quorum, it is not something that is taken lightly, and it is a very strategic move and a decision. And that if they decide to do that, that is something that costs resources. And there is a lot that goes into that. And so when you see and hear resources needed to break quorum, please don't take that lightly. It is a very important and very thoughtful and strategic decision that they would make in order to really strategically move us towards what we know is what is right and just. So I want to thank you all. I want to just play this video, and if you all have any closing remarks, yield the floor to you all.
They're talking about they're starting to cheat. They've been cheating. Right now, we should be in power. We should be the ones that are controlling the House. We should be the ones that have the ability to subpoena Elon Musk. We should be the ones that have the ability to subpoena these Epstein files. Let me tell you something. They don't want the truth to come out. They are so far from being interested in transparency. And frankly, we know that the Republicans have abdicated their duties as relates to those in the House as well as the Senate, and they know we won't back down. So I got news for them. As they sit up here and think that they're about to win, let me tell you, they are playing the game known as the biggest loser. And the biggest one sits in the White House, and baby, the baby loser right here is down there below them. They will lose because the people are speaking out and they are showing up. It is the same reason the Republicans don't want to go into their districts and talk to the people, because they know that their policies are loser policies. They are losers. I'm going to tell you, if there's one group of people that's not going to lose, it is going to be us, because we are going to fight this every step of the way. And so I want to thank those governors that have already made it clear that if you want to fight fire with fire, we got something for you. So thank you to Gavin Newsom, who said, play with Texas if you want to, because we can play with California. I thank you to the governor in New Jersey who said it's not necessarily off the table. I thank you to any Democratic governor who has tried to be fair with the lines that they have drawn. But right now, fairness is not anything that this administration is familiar with. The law isn't anything that this administration is familiar with. The only thing that they know how to do is be crooked, draw crooked lines, and tell crooked lies. So I am here to tell you that if you think that you can just roll over the Democrats, it is a new day. And I am looking forward to making sure that we can respond in kind if they want to play, because we already know that our lines are already jacked up. I already gave you the numbers. You can play with them more if you want to, but just know I'm going to spend every waking day until now, between now and November, to make sure that not only these new seats that you try to draw, if that's what you try to do, that we win those seats, but maybe it's time for us to take some other seats that are sitting up here right now, because they're not doing their jobs anyway. So just know I will not rest, because this is not what democracy looks like, but we're going to show you what it looks like. Thank you.
And that, my sisters, is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who hails from the great state of Texas. I might say she is definitely not treading lightly. Sisters, thank you so much for all that you are doing, that you will continue to do. We thank you, and we invite you to continue to come back to us to give us updates. I know we have a very special guest that has joined us. I am so honored to have her on. I call her Madam International President. And earlier this week, we saw D4, Delta for Women in Action, and Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated in partnership with a number of Black women leaders across this country lead a powerful conversation about what is happening in Texas. And it was a beautiful, powerful, very large, well-attended conversation of all women. And I'm so honored to have on this call the newest international president of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, President Cheryl Turner. Welcome, President Turner. How are you?
I am great. I am so excited to be here with you. Hello, Joe Taker and all of the Win with Black Women Coalition. This is an amazing night. We're still fired up and getting information from our sisters on the front line, our sisters in Texas. Thank you so much for being out there. I don't know if any men are fighting in this, but we're good because we have all the sisters fighting this battle. Thank you so much. We know you can do it. Bold, courageous women.
Well, thank you so much. It is so great to have you on here. And I see Jackson, Mississippi is in the chat. I see Mississippi is
Yes,
representing in the chat. And it's just so great
yes,
to have you here. And I think what was so powerful about that conversation and about that call is that Black women, and particularly Black women organizations, no matter what colors we are, no matter what organization, many of which Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and D4 Women for Action are part of the Black Women's Leadership Collective, which is a collective of Black women organizations that often move in coalition with each other. I just want to give you an opportunity just to share, for you to share with everyone out there that's listening, because you hail from Mississippi, but you
I
are
do.
saying that this is something that we all need to be paying attention to. Could you just elaborate and share to everyone out there why it's so important for us, no matter who we are, where we live, why we need to be focused on Texas and what's happening there?
Correct. I live in Mississippi. Texas, so goes Texas, so goes the rest of the red states. We have to be ready and vigilant about what is happening because I believe if they're successful going into Texas, they're going to try to move that strategy everywhere. And we have to make sure that this is not going to be anything that we lay down for. So DuPont, Walter said at the beginning, God is calling us to be bold and courageous and inclusive of all women, no matter what colors you're wearing, no matter where you live or where you come from. We need to band together with the sisters in Texas now to ensure that they have power in numbers. But to be bold, courageous, and inclusive means that we've got to be woke. We've got to be woke. And one of the sisters said earlier, don't let them redefine what those words mean to us. Being woke means staying alert, staying knowledgeable, and staying familiar with what's going on while it's moving. But Delta Sigma Theta is in this fight. We have signed on with the Legal Defense Fund onto their letter so that they can challenge those efforts in Texas, this mid-decade unlawful redistricting effort that they have. So we need everyone. We need everyone to pay attention. I think there was a call to send in money. You need money to be able to fight these type efforts. So we need everyone, however you can do it, to be attentive and to work with us.
Well, thank you all so much. Thank you again. Thank you, Executive Director Shelley Wilson. Thank you again, Representative Retta Andrews Bowers. And thank you, Madam International President Cheryl Turner. Thank you all so much.
Thank
Sisters,
you.
Thank you.
thank you. Sisters, we are going to continue with our agenda. And I think it's most appropriate now that you have heard so much about what's happening in the country, so much about what's going on, is how do we actually, what's the message? What's the top 3 messages that we need to share with our community, with our network? If we have a podcast, what should we be talking about on our podcast? If we have a radio show, what should we be talking about? If we're on television, or what should we be posting about? And whom better to share those messages than the OG herself? She is a Win with Black Women OG. She's been there since the very beginning. She is the political commentator. She is the political analysis. She is message extraordinary, the Karen Finney. Karen, it's always wonderful to see you here on Win with Black Women.
Thank you, Joe Taka. I love that. I want a shirt or a mug that says Win with Black Women OG. I
know.
need that. I need
We're gonna have to
that.
work on that. We're gonna have to work on that. You're on the Google group, right?
Yes, sister. So, sisters, so wonderful to join you and lots to talk about. So, I want to start with just something when we were just hearing our Black women state legislators from Texas talk about what they're doing to protect what's going on. Two things about that. When people talk about the Democratic Party, right? I want us to remember that we have state legislators like these amazing women. We have governors, we have attorneys general. They are part of the Democratic Party. And we've been winning. These are people who have run and communicate and winning on our values and the things that we hold dear. So don't let them tell you that our values don't matter, that we're broken. No, because you just heard those women talk about our values. You just heard them talk about what we care about, right? So I want us to remember that because I think it's important. Obviously, we want to support Texas. One of the things I think we should be talking about, they're trying to cheat because they know they cannot win by, normal means. And we've seen this pattern over and over and over again. So to be very clear, if we take a look at the polls, literally it's several months, it's not just a recent poll. Usually I don't like to talk about polls if it's just an outlier, but consistently we are seeing that Donald Trump, his agenda, the Republicans, they are dropping in the polls. People do not like the way he is conducting business. So when we look at Texas, that's where we draw that direct line to say, they're looking at the same polls we are, and they know they cannot win honestly. So they're trying to cheat, they're trying to change the game, they're trying to change the rules to benefit them. And I think that's an important message also because we've seen Republicans, and I'm being real political here right now, and this president do that over and over and over again, right? And one of the ways I want to talk about is what's the Jeffrey Epstein story. I know that it's getting a lot of airtime, and a lot of folks are feeling like, why are we talking about this? Why does this matter? And I'll tell you why it matters. It matters for two things I like to talk about. Number one, they trafficked in conspiracy theories. This is this is a complete problem of their making, right? And they created this and then they couldn't deliver. And one of the things I've been saying is they couldn't deliver on this. This is affecting that 1/3 of the Republican Party that is so core to Donald Trump. And then we're also seeing people are angry. I mean, literally, he has created a surge in support for comprehensive immigration reform because of the way he's going about things. We are seeing across the board, people don't like the way he's handling the economy, whether it's tariffs, you name it. So across the board, he's losing support. So they're cheating because they know they can't win by the normal means. And I think that's important for us to talk about. And I think it's important for us to note that the Epstein situation, what matters there is that I break it down to this. Are you on the side of the powerful or the vulnerable? Because that's really what this comes down to. And I think that's why this has really stuck in people's minds as a betrayal. It's also just a betrayal of the conspiracy theorists. So you're going to see Democrats continue to talk about that, but you're also going to see, I just want to mark a couple things. So July 30th is the anniversary, the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. Let's get out there and talk about our stories. Let's get out there and talk about why Medicaid matters, how it has made a difference. And I say that because one of the things that we know is that conservatives are out there in off years talking about their values. And we don't always talk about it. We talk a lot around it about it during election years, but it's really important that we talk about our values, we tell our stories, we say what matters in the off years, because the line tends to go like this. It's so important. It's important we're talking about Texas. It's important we're talking about women's health care. It's, as Congresswoman Yvette Clarke talked about, it's important that we're talking about the harm that this budget is doing. 300,000 Black women being moved out of the workforce on top of what we saw during the pandemic. We need to be on our social media channels, telling our stories and pushing that content out. The very last thing I'm just going to mention that I also think is important, when we talk about what's going on, I think we should also mention our children are watching. You know, Donald Trump is terrorizing our kids. Our kids see what is happening. They're feeling it in, whether it is schools are about to come back, whether it's in summer camps, their friends, they know our kids are watching. And I think reminding people, bringing people back to, who are we? What are our values? What matters? Is this really what we want our kids to see? Starving children in Gaza? No, I don't want them to see that. I don't want them to know we stood by. I don't want them to see, people being laid off or kids going hungry in our own country because our government doesn't care. So I think we also need to raise this idea of our values, about who we are and why these things matter. And with that, Joteka, I know you have a fantastic panel coming up after me, and I will turn it back over to you.
Well, Karen, thank you so much. And I think you really talked about some things that are really important, and I hope everyone takes away. One, let's never let go of the fact that we own and can talk about our values, that all of our platforms absolutely matter.
Yeah.
And so do not take for granted your platform.
That's
If
right.
you have 5 followers, or if you sit and have dinner with one person every day, have those conversations. It matters. It absolutely matters. You don't have to be on television every other day like a Karen Finney. You can just talk to your community, your neighborhood. That's equally as important. And so, as Karen outlined, talking about our values is very important. Understanding that this Epstein conversation is important to have, because let's look at who started that conversation. And then also, let's not also, and you alluded to this a bit, but the conversation around the files that were released by the U.S. government regarding Dr. Martin Luther King. And let's highlight the important words of Dr. Bernice King and Martin Luther King III. Please, if you have not read what they wrote, which is so powerful in Vanity Fair, we'll try to drop it here. Please watch that. But what she said was, I thought was very powerful. She said, well, now you can go do the same with the Epstein files as well. And I think everybody was like, in that part. Karen, thank you so much for your steadfast leadership, your brilliancy in helping us understand the importance of message and how all of our voices are so important. Thank you. We know we'll be seeing you on a television someplace nearby.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sisters, Karen alluded to the fact that we have a very important panel, and we have like some really great speakers that are coming up with us tonight. This next conversation is critical, and this sister We know she is a powerful sister that when we talk about message and keeping us on message, Sister Coy, thank you so much for all that you do. And I'm going to turn it over to you to really lead a very important conversation about Black women that are on the bench. Number one, why it's important for us to be on the bench. Number two, what is happening to Black women who are on the bench because we are continuously being attacked. Thank you for being here with Win with Black
Thank you.
Always, and over to you, my sister.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joteka, for having me tonight. And thank you, Holly, also in the background, doing all this great work, keeping us rolling. And thank you so much to the, I guess, 2,000 women that are here with us watching tonight. So my name is Janelle Coy. I'm the founder and chairwoman of Gavel America. Gavel America is a new national effort built to protect something that protects all of us, the court system. So judicial elections might not sound like the front line of democracy, but the truth is, this is where some of our biggest rights are quietly being rolled back. Abortion, voting access, education, and especially public safety. So in state after state, conservative networks are pouring millions into flipping the courts because they know if they control the judges, they control all of the outcomes. And what my team learned quickly was that there was simply no national infrastructure to support progressive judges or Black judges, especially, and especially not from the party. But what conservatives didn't plan for was our organizing power. So Gavel America is the first strategy on the left built to fight back. We provide judges with the messaging, tools, and protection they need to get elected and stay elected. That includes our election defense fund for judges targeted with bogus lawsuits after they win, because extremists are trying to make it cost prohibitive to serve. So we cannot let that stand. We just presented yesterday at the National Bar Association conference to the Judicial Council, to a room of over 100 judges, and heard so many stories from these incredible Black judges in the room that were unfairly targeted by these lawsuits and how they're still impacted today. So we're building out the first 50-state strategy to defend the courts, restore public trust, and make sure that judicial power isn't something that happens to our communities, but for them. Because when Black women are protected under the law, everyone is, and especially when Black women shape the bench, justice looks a whole lot closer to what it should. So I've invited with me tonight 3 incredible criminal court judges from Harris County, Texas, Houston. So I was very excited to see all the women from Texas in the chat this evening. Ladies, tonight we are joined by Judge Catherine Thomas, Judge Lori Chambers Gray, and Judge Stacey Allen Barrow to share more about their experiences and the partisan attacks on their records last year. But I'd love to start with Judge Catherine Thomas, Judge Cat, who we like to call her. Guys, Judge Cat is who brought me into the work, and she's why I'm so passionate about it. We're both 32 years old. We're both young women killing it. And so I'm so inspired by her story because she is the youngest elected judge in the state of Texas, you guys. So Judge Cat, let's start with what brought you to the bench, what inspired you to run, and what did you hope to bring to the courtroom that was missing?
Thank you so much, Win with Black Women. Thank you, Janelle, for this opportunity to talk about something that is so near and dear to my heart. I served as a prosecutor for the Harris County District Attorney's Office, and I saw too many deficiencies within the criminal justice system. Specifically, I saw this revolving door where people would enter the criminal justice system who were young, they would plead guilty, and we would see them again within the next 6 to 8 months. So what I thought about was my experience as a Black woman. I thought about my experience as a 5th generation Texan, as a graduate of Spelman College and Howard University School of Law. And I wanted to bring that to the bench. I wanted to bring that unique lens, and specifically from Howard University School of Law, where I was groomed to be a social engineer, not a parasite to society. And so I thought about how we could really change the criminal justice system, the courts. And so I wanted to pilot a youth court. And with the court, and we have piloted it, and what the court does is we target the population of people between the ages of 17 to 25 who are charged with nonviolent felony offenses. And what we do is we give them access to existing agencies that are already doing this work. So we're helping people with mental health treatment, drug and alcohol rehabilitation, career placement, because what studies show is that when we actually focus on rehabilitative measures, then we are able to reduce crime and reduce recidivism. So we're addressing the root causes of crime. That's what inspired me, and that's what's continuing to inspire me as I remain on the bench.
Amazing. Thank you. Let's jump to Judge Stacey Allen Barrow. So last cycle, you were a part of a group of criminal court judges that were hit with millions of dollars in attack ads from the right, which is generally unheard of in judicial elections because we know that these races are undercapitalized, underfunded. So you never see $18 million that was raised and spent in Texas alone in judicial elections. So, what did these attack ads look like on the ground? How did it feel to be the target of such a coordinated effort? And can you speak to any of the support that you thought you might get during that cycle and what that looked like?
Thank you so much for having me in this space today with all of you and for the wonderful work that you are leading, Janelle. I want to first acknowledge the fact that we're gathering, as scripture would say, for such a time as this. I have to thank Representatives Bowers and Gervin Hawkins for the work that they're doing around redistricting. I think is divine alignment that we're all on the call today because in Texas, we are truly pressed on all sides. As someone who was raised since the age of 5 in CD 18 and still resides here, their work is critical to what I'm doing. And it's important to call that out because it's all connected. We saw that playing during the last election cycle, really an attack that started in 2022, soon after we saw Black women elected to the to the bench, to the number of 19 women all at once. And so we saw the Stop Houston Murder PAC language telling folks to vote out soft on crime Democrats after the bench changed to a mostly Black and woman bench. I believe that that wasn't a coincidence. Millions and millions of dollars, as you mentioned, $18 million, $2 million of which was provided at least by Elon Musk, poured out within just 1 month leading up to the elections. What it looked like was that in every door that I knocked, every conversation I had from church bazaar gatherings to local neighborhood meetings, this rhetoric was constantly being launched at us as being soft on crime. And it, as Representative Yvette Clarke mentioned, deceit by design. Because ultimately, what they wanted our community to believe is that those of us who have been called from amongst them to sit on benches of doing this collective work of ensuring that everyone lives in a community where they feel safe and they can thrive would somehow betray our neighbors and let out people who are dangerous into the community, the very communities that we live in. They also weren't being honest about the fact that the Constitution of Texas requires us to set bond for almost everybody when they are charged with an offense, whether they're charged with petty theft all the way up through murder. And so we were legislatively tied to the law and required to do this work. And it was outright painful because these were seniors and elders and folks who in many ways shaped who we were, encouraged us to step into leadership, who now doubted our ability to lead in the very spaces that they were considering to elect us to. The impact of that is that I was the only judge in Harris County who ran for a criminal bench who had an opponent who actually won. And so, although I was grateful to win, my win came with the bitterness of the loss of so many capable, strong, smart Black women who were running for the first time, like I was, and even incumbent women who had incredible records, who could simply not push against this rhetoric because it was not being pushed against in a collaborative and consistent way on any level, unfortunately, including from the party that we ran under, who we thought would certainly help to get the counter messaging out that although they were claiming that we were letting out violent folks as Democrats, that in fact crime in Harris County had gone down, including violent crime. So again, deceit by design. And so those are the wins that we are fighting and pushing against. We still stand up and do this work. We still stand in the gap for our community because we believe that it is critical. But we ultimately need the support outside of the normal structures that one would think support would come from, because we have learned, at least over the last 2 election cycles, that help is not coming. Lastly, and I know my time is up, but I want to point to what Ms. DuPont Walker said earlier about being faithful and available to this work. We have stepped up faithfully. We have made ourselves available to serve our community in the bench so brilliantly, as Judge Thomas talked about. And she cited Psalm 46, God is a safe place to hide. And I want to say that this space was a critical space for me, that night of the 44,000, for me not to lose hope despite all of the wins and the difficulties that we were facing. And I believe truly that oftentimes that safe place comes in the form of a Black woman. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. And last but not least, we've got a question for Judge Lori Chambers Gray. There's a real tension between doing the work and surviving politically. So how have you navigated that, especially when you know that your decisions on the bench are being weaponized in headlines and mailers?
Okay, thank you for having this safe space tonight. I am so honored to be here tonight with all of the women, with Black women. I was on that call, that historic call, that 44,000 women who were on the call. The power here tonight is historic. It is necessary. And for such a time as this, I want to just add, I am also one of the Houston 19. I am one of the 19 African-American judges who ran in 2018 and we were elected. This was a historic election and it received international coverage. And it was historic in so many ways for our community, and it impacted many who decided to run after they saw people who look like them being able to serve in these very important roles. And so the question is to not have fear. I was a practicing attorney for over 28 years before I took the bench. And so you have to understand, you do the work and you rule without fear. You understand that there is a responsibility and oath that we have taken. And it is unfortunate that some would try to weaponize us on following the law. But that's what has happened, but we cannot be deceived. Our strength is in our collective power. And we saw that when 19 African-American women were running for judge, and 17 of us actually won, and 2 were already judges. And so we know the power of the truth. We know the power of the messaging, and we cannot be overwhelmed in this moment. We are powerful. We have to know this, but we have to recognize that they know this. And that is why you have all of the rhetoric about redistricting. It all started the moment that the headlines went Black. It was automatic, then the attack upon the judiciary. It's nothing new. We are here, and as our spiritual opening speaker tonight said, for such a time as this, we are powerful, and this is a moment that God has placed us in these positions, and we will do what we must do to make sure that everyone is aware that everyone can reach someone. Each one can reach someone, and that is our strength.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And this is my last question for anyone that wants to take it. Looking ahead, what do you want the public, and especially Black women in this room, to understand specifically about what's at stake in judicial elections, in the climate that we're in, and how the nature of judicial elections have changed so much?
I'll take the question, Janelle. So we talked about the attack on our congressional redistricting, but there's also been an attack on our judiciary, not just in terms of the criminal courts, but also in the civil courts, in the family courts, in the probate courts. And what's at stake is fair judges who uphold the rule and the order of law. And I just want to talk about what we as criminal judges have done since we've been on the bench, at least the Black women criminal judges. It's not just about making rulings. most of our work comes off the bench, where we are able to reduce our docket size and our backlog, which just means that we are reducing the jail population here in Harris County. It also means that we are improving indigent defense, which means that if someone is poor, they should also be entitled to quality and adequate representation. We have pioneered programs. I specifically spoke about the youth court that I piloted, but there are so many diversionary programs that we have piloted here in Harris County. We have a sober court that helps people who are dealing with alcohol addiction. We have a veterans court that are helping people navigate through PTSD. And so we have a lot of rehabilitative programs that we have piloted in Harris County to reduce crime. And so what I hope people understand is that this is not just about having Black women on the bench. This is about improving the state of our county, and it's also about decreasing crime and just improving our county as a whole.
And I'd also like to add to that initiatives in which Judge Thomas is talking about has never happened before. And it's actually improving and making our communities safe. There's an initiative that I was able to foster with the NFL for crime prevention, where we have retired NFL players who are coming and speaking all across this county, motivating young people to before they are arrested, because a lot of times we are waiting after a person has actually been arrested, but we are reaching young people before they have actually been arrested with our crime prevention program called Tackling Crime in the Red Zone. These are initiatives with elite athletes who will have the hearts and the minds of these young people, and they are actually responding in a way that has not been as successful in the past, because the reach was, let's try to build more prisons and try to incarcerate more and incarcerate us out of this. But where we have fallen behind in our criminal justice system is reaching them before a crime has actually been committed. And so these are initiatives that these Black women, Judge Thomas has her initiative, Judge Stacy Barrows has her initiatives and concerns, and that will all improve the entire community. And that's what we're talking about. Each one of us understanding that we can play a role in this by just educating our community why it's important to have this approach to what's actually making a positive difference in our community. And we have to hear that message, and that's where the program comes in. Mm-hmm.
Well, this has been such a powerful conversation. Sister Janelle Coy, thank you for, I think we have echoed Sister Jackie DuPont Walker's words. They were so powerful, opening us up. But for such a time as this, for you having the foresight and the vision to recognize the need for there to be some voice that protects those that are working to ensure the integrity of the bench. So, sister, I salute you. And Judge Thomas, I love saying that. Judge Thomas, Judge Gray, Judge Barrow, you are an inspiration. Your work, your leadership, but your very representation and presence is what we need in this country now more than ever. And we are committed to continuing to uplift, support, defend, and fight for you as you do for all of us each and every single day. Thank you all so much, ladies. Thank you, sisters.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, sisters, I'm excited about this next conversation. Now, I'm going to ask a question in the chat. If you've ever used Chat GPT, I've heard her called Chat, Giselle, Patrice, Taylor, all kind of names. Have you ever used Chat GPT? You ever use any type of AI? Okay, everybody said, oh yes, a Chat GPT. Any of you ever heard of Aisha? Anybody ever use Aisha? Aisha. If you haven't heard of Aisha, make sure you're looking about and learning about Aisha. Have you ever went to type on Google and all of a sudden you saw something called Gemini? Have any of you all experienced that? Have any of you ever used Whisper AI to record yourself and to get very quickly a transcription of maybe a speech you might want to give so that you can write it down. Yes, I see a lot of yeses in the chat. Well, I also want you to put in the chat, what are some of the AI tools that you are using right now? What are those AI tools that you're using? Oh, a lot of you have a lot of tools that are out there. Well, this next person, she is a Win with Black Women OG. This is a night full of OGs on this call tonight. She is my sister in tech. As many of you know, I spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley. I'm an active investor across a number of companies. Spent many years in the C-suite in Silicon Valley companies, and we're hearing a lot about AI. But this young woman is a pioneer. She is a serial entrepreneur. She is an author of Rewrite Your Rules, a book that I am a proud owner of. The Journey to Success in Less Time with More Freedom. She is the founder of Blavity, bringing you a number of gatherings and tech focused information. If you're on Afrotech, I know if you've been to Afrotech, say something in the chat. I mean, it's like 40,000 people at Afrotech. So I'm sure you have heard about Afrotech if you've been there. I'm sure you read Blavity and all of the other companies that are under the umbrella of Blavity. But this young woman is a pioneer, and she is going to talk to us about AI. And Win with Black Women is very proud to partner with Afrotech for an upcoming conversation on AI. And I'm super excited to give the Win with Black Women floor over to Miss Morgan DeBron to talk to us. She came with slides, everybody, about AI and breaking it down and why it is important for us to be weary, but not weary, but to be cautious and concerning, but not to dismiss it. Because I fear that if we simply dismiss it, many of us will be left behind. So I am so glad to have you here with us, my sister.
Thank you, Jotega, and thank you to the Win with Black Women family and team. It feels good to be on this call tonight. So let me just start with the truth. A lot of us in our community, we are very skeptical of AI, and I get it. We honestly are not wrong to be skeptical because we've seen this before. We've seen the switch from CD-ROMs to the cloud, for desktops to mobile. We've seen digitization. I'm sure there's still people who walk into Costco to get their TurboTax CD-ROM every year, even though now we can take pictures and do it in 2 seconds on your phone. So we've seen this innovation roll in under the banner of progress, right? Big companies, politicians, it's all about progress. But we as Black women also often see who gets left out or who gets pushed out. And we've all seen the news about women, especially Black women, who are not in the workforce in the last few months. It impacts Black workers in service roles, in education, in healthcare, and administration. We're the ones typically who are displaced, even when a new technology shows up to try to make things faster or smarter or more efficient. So I think what's really challenging about AI for a lot of folks is that these technologies are built on data that will either exclude us, misrepresent us, or potentially even exploit us without any sort of compensation. And the hard part is that AI is already here. So a lot of times people say, well, we just shouldn't use it. Well, it's already happening, right? It's already shaping hiring decisions, healthcare access. Recently, Delta said they're going to use it to manage pricing. We've seen it in stores. And if we're not in the room using these tools, if we're not building these tools, if we're not challenging the systems that are supposed to be governing these tools and guiding them, then they will still happen. They're still going to be shaped anyways. So I want us to have a conversation today. This is going to be very interactive, but I did want to acknowledge that there are downsides to AI, and I'm not minimizing those at all, but I do want you all to have the power and the agency to make intentional decisions about how you want to use AI and how it can help you in your work and in your everyday life. All right? With that, I'm going to share my screen. All right. So Jotega already said a little bit about me. I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm from St. Louis, but let's get straight into it. All right, so this presentation is going to mostly talk about the different trends that are happening in the world of AI. So the newest trend that you've probably heard is AI agents. It's a term that people say also, people might also say agentic AI. So all of us are using ChatGPT or Gemini or Microsoft Copilot, and those are chatbots. You enter a prompt, and then it comes back with an output. An AI agent is an advancement of that. And ChatGPT last week, you all might see it, actually released a new agent, which means it's very much going mainstream, but this has been happening for many years now. So an AI agent is basically an autonomous system that uses artificial intelligence to be able to make its own decisions and execute tasks without you having to let it tell exactly what it needs to do every single step. So it can make its own decisions based off of the guardrails that you've given it. And it can also adapt over time. It improves itself over time, the more context and the more information that you give it. So why does this matter? Because when people are talking about, we're going to replace people with AI, this is what they're talking about. They're talking about, we're going to replace bodies with agents, and agents are inevitable. Like I said, they're already happening. So I wanted to talk to you about how you can use agents and how agents are going to become a commodity for every single person, especially now that we all have access to tools like ChatGPT, where you can build your own agents to help you do your work. And I'm going to give you an example that might be relevant to some of you all today. So let's say you are a nonprofit leader and you want to find grants for your nonprofit or your organization. I live in Tennessee, so let's say I'm looking for maternal health grants in Tennessee or just generally in the South that are due within the next 90 days that are over 100K. And ideally, I'd like to prioritize grants I've never applied to. So my AI agent, which I would call, I don't know, what should we name her? Tatiana. Okay. Tatiana, she will scan the web and all the organizations that I have worked with before, but then also iterations of those organizations, other organizations I haven't worked with, and it'll send me a weekly email to me and my team, who's probably chronically understaffed because y'all know how nonprofits are. We have a lot going on. And we will then, that AI agent will then also give me a summary of the grant, give me a summary of all the people who previously won that grant, check my LinkedIn network to see if I know any of these people who were previous grant winners. And then also based off of the work that they already know that we do, because we've been working with this AI agent for a while, make a recommendation on the type of programs or things that we should submit to this grant. So this type of an AI agent would be helpful for someone who wears a lot of hats, for a social entrepreneur who's trying to build their business or raise money for a nonprofit but doesn't have funding yet, so they're trying to get funding. And the other thing that's really important about this is, AI agents can be used for, of course, very serious things, but it could also be used for things like making a reservation at the nail salon or making a reservation for your favorite restaurant or filling up your Instacart with the grocery order that you had last week. So think of it as a virtual assistant who can work on your behalf. And currently there's a lot of restrictions where, it won't take a final action like a transaction without your permission. But over time, as you build more trust with these systems, they will eventually remove those kind of precautions. So I want you to be aware of AI agents, and that will help you kind of understand what's going on as these continue to advance. All right. All right. So our next tool and next trend is called vibe coding. Now, I hate this term. I think it is the most Silicon Valley thing I've ever heard. But vibe coding basically means when you are able to have a conversation with a LLM, a large language model like ChatGPT, and you're able to output a real website or product without having to write a line of code, which is so cool. Type one into the chat if you've ever had an idea for an app or a website, but you did not follow through because it was too complicated to figure out how to get it done. So I'm going to show you right now exactly how to do that. So first, you start off in ChatGPT, and you tell ChatGPT, hey, Chat, you are a UI UX designer, you're a product designer, you're an engineer, and I want you to create a website or a mobile app. So I went ahead and wrote this out for today's conversation. I said, hey, you're an expert, and I want you to search this website, thewinwithblackwomen.org, and create a mobile app to build our community. And for the weekly meetings, for people to join it, to see the live stream, I even included the agenda that we're all on today, all the information we all got via email. Okay. And then Chat came back and said, here's the prompt. You know, people like to say that you have to be good at prompting, but you can just let ChatGPT prompt for you. Okay. So you can just say, hey, it says, can you write this prompt? Perfect. So Chat then gave me this prompt. And then I go into another tool, which is called Claude, which is run by Anthropic. So type one into the chat if you've ever used Claude. It's really, really smart. It's kind of like Chat's smarter sister. And I'm just going to go ahead and paste my prompt that we just made into Claude. And I'm going to say, same thing. You're a senior product designer, engineer, et cetera, et cetera. And now Claude is coding this live. Literally coding this live. So we're going to let Claude do that for a second. And this is going to take a few minutes, and then we'll come back to it. Okay. And see what Ms. Cloud decided to build for us. Okay, so the next trend is really, really important for our community to get a good understanding of. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a video, and then we'll get into it.
Do you know the difference between real and digital avatar?
Let me show you how to spot a deep fake versus the real thing.
Currently, hand motions are one of the hardest things for digital avatars to get right, and also fingers.
Lighting and shadows can also be one of the things to look for. She's a bit of a baddie. Okay,
Do you
so
know the difference
none of this was me, right? Obviously, that's a photo of me, but it has been generated. And just as recently as last week, we saw this in the news. If you all remember this video, the President of the United States last week posted a deep fake on his social media of our president, the only president I acknowledge, get arrested, which was not real. He posted this. And there are thousands, if not millions of people who think these videos are real. In fact, it's really hard for people to tell the difference between a deep fake and a real person. It's something like only 24% of people in this country can actually tell the difference between a deep fake and a real set of media and content. So this is really important. So I want you all to know how to protect yourself. But first, let's see if you can identify which of these photos isn't me. Or is me, sorry. So a lot of them are not me. Which one of these photos do you think is actually a real photo of me? Go ahead and type it into the chat. Ooh, tough. Okay. Yeah, so a lot of you all think that the white shirt is the photo of me. That is a AI photo of me. Top left. Nope. The photo of me that is real is this photo in the middle on the right, where I look quite pale due to lighting, and this with the white background. Really difficult to tell. And I didn't even spend probably more than, a few minutes generating these photos for you guys. So how do you protect yourself from deep fakes, and why does this matter? So one, fraud and cybersecurity is one of the biggest things that people are using AI for. So people can now emulate voice. So whenever you're calling, to verify information, they can clone your voice and get your personal information and verify on a bank that it's you. Okay. So you really need to use multi-factor authentication. I know it is so annoying when you're like trying to buy a thing and you're like, I do not have my phone right now. But I promise you, in the long run, it will be so important for your security. When you are getting emails from people and they're trying to get you to do some sort of transaction, I don't know if you've ever seen when people ask you for a gift card. This happens all the time in my company. New employees, they go after them so quickly. Hey, Morgan needs, hey, it's Morgan. Can you go run to Target and get me a gift card? First of all, I would never say go run to Target. Second of all, I would never tell y'all to go get me a gift card. Okay. So it's really important that we look at the email addresses of everything that's being sent to us and that we are really making sure that we are protecting our personal information. And last but not least, you need to be very careful and mindful of what you share online in real time. The reason for this is because someone could take a picture. Let's say you're on vacation. Let's say you're on vacation with your family and you're having a good time and you're like, look, everything's so lovely, and you take a photo. You can upload that photo into ChatGPT or any one of these tools, and that ChatGPT will say, based off of this photo, this is where this person probably is. Okay. So you want to be very careful about what you're sharing in real time. My family and I, we've all decided to, delay everything if we are going to share anything. So people are like, oh my God, I'm so excited you're in Atlanta. I'm like, girl, I'm home. I left 2 weeks ago. Okay. It's very important that you protect yourself and you protect your family, and take these things very seriously. You are not being paranoid. And this is very important. And also you need to think about our elders. Our elders, they're not necessarily going to be all up and up when it comes to AI and cybersecurity and risk, but it's important that we take care of them and we try to make sure that we're changing their passwords and helping them find a place to keep those passwords safe, and that we're helping monitor their finances and getting alerts to make sure that they're not having things withdrawn for weird reasons or there's new recurring expenses that shouldn't be there. And we're helping sign them up for things that protect their security. So that's something to really be mindful of. All right, let's go back to Claudette. Claude, how are you doing? Okay. We got a little situation here. All right, so we've got a bit of an app. She coded. There's something weird going on with the text here, so we got to fix that. But this is pretty cool. It's got the agenda, it's got the number of registrations, it's got the spotlights, our affirmations, what we're doing tonight. It's got our chit chat, our call to actions, resources, so good. And then you can go back to Claude and say, hey, like, it looks like that colors, didn't show all the way through. So I could say, hey, chat, and use these colors and make sure the text is legible. So you can go on and on and on. It's going to code this up, etc. But the point of this is to really just show you that there's so many tools out here that are coming out, and this is only $20 a month. Okay. So these tools are very accessible, and it's important that you play with these tools, that you have a sense of playfulness when it comes to learning about AI, and that you don't judge yourself if you're not sure all the words and terminology. You can Google it, you can put it in ChatGPT, it will explain it to you. I'm going to end with one slide of the tools for you to screenshot, and then also the QR code so you can join our free training. So this is still coding. All right. So if you screenshot this or use your QR code, we're running a free training on August 8th for anyone to learn. It's about a 4 or 5 hour virtual training on AI. There were already 3,000 plus people registered, and this is part of AppRotect's mission. So I hope that you all enjoy it. And then also feel free to screenshot this page as well with a link to all of these incredible tools. Oops. And you can upload this image into ChatGPT and she'll get the links for you, okay? Don't go into Google, start searching these links. Back to you,
Morgan,
Jateka.
this has been so informative and so okay. I want to just see in the chat how many of you all learned something new tonight. You could just put a one or yes, yes. There's a lot in the chat. This is so informative. So on August the 8th, we are so, so proud to partner with this amazing Black woman CEO of a very successful tech company to provide you with more resources and tools. It's a 4 to 5 hour training on AI. And as Morgan outlined, yes, there are questions that we should be asking. There are things that we should be concerned with. We should be very careful about how we put our personal information, our data, and our photos into these tools, but also it's important for us to be knowledgeable on how we can utilize those tools to be more efficient, for us to save time. I can certainly say, as someone whom I give a lot of speeches, and I do a lot of speeches, and I actually take the time to write every single speech that I ever give. But one of the things that I notice is that I am a oral person. So I often, whether I'm in the shower, walking around the house, I just talk to myself as if I'm giving the speech. And I'll be like, man, I wish I wrote that down because that's the speech I want to give. Well, then I found this tool called Whisper AI, which allows me to record myself. And I just record myself as if I'm giving the speech or I'm standing up there and I'm just talking from the heart. And then all of a sudden it's all written down. Then I could actually take that and then edit that, which are my own words, into a written speech that I can then deliver. That's just an example of how I use AI. And it has been so much more efficient for me in my day to day. And it's a tool, it's something that we all need to be aware of, not afraid of, but also we do need to make sure that AI, as it is being developed, and shout out to the great leaders at so many civil rights organizations that are rightfully making sure that there are guardrails on AI. We can't just let it run rampant. There has to be guardrails. There has to be culturally sensitive, because we always heard the terminology GICO, right? Garbage in, garbage out. And we got to make sure that there's not constant garbage going into these tools so that we're not getting garbage out. So again, Morgan, thank you so much for just your leadership, for everything that you do for the culture. And if you have not already, please download her book. You can get it in Audible where you can actually hear Morgan herself. You can read this powerful book. It is called Rewrite Your Rules: The Journey to Success in Less Time with More Freedom. And thank you again, Morgan, for all that you do and the work that you do as a constant advocate on Black maternal health. I know that you have been such a powerful voice in that world as well, showing us that Black women, we can do many, many things at one time. Of course, you wrote a book on it. So, again, thank you very much. Sisters, we're going to keep going right along in our journey. And Black joy is something that is very beautiful and very powerful. And y'all, if y'all were at Essence Fest, it was a time was had at Essence Fest. The boots was on the ground, and the sisters, we saw you at the Win with Black Women booth, and it was just so wonderful because we were right beside the NCNW booth. So it was just all kind of Black women joy that was going on. We had a number of special guests that came to our booth to show love. Shout out to Mayor Latoya Cantrell, who came by, and all the people were there, and so many others. But I want to give a big shout out to the Win with Black Women sisters who held us down, and our volunteers led by Sister Christina Q, Sister Jewel Love, Sister Valerie Bolden, and so many others who were on the ground making sure that we had a presence with our partnership with Essence Fest. And so I am so excited to bring to the Win with Black Women stage Sisters Christina Q, Sister Jewel Love, and Sister Valerie. Over to you all. A time was had at Essence Fest. Boots were definitely on the ground and the fans were popping.
Sorry, I was on mute. Hi, everybody. It's so great. Thank you, Joteka. It's so awesome to be on the call with you all tonight. I think we're missing one of our sisters. If the team could get Letitia Jackson on the stage for us as well. And so I'm joined by our sisters Jewel Love and sisters Valerie Boudin, and Sister Letitia Jackson is going to join us as well. But before we get started, we want to toss to our video to recap some of our moments at the Essence Fest at the Women Black Women booth.
Children, terms of funding myself,
Yay! So sisters, we had an amazing time. This was our first time getting the opportunity to partner with Essence at the Essence Festival. And Jewel, I'm going to start with you. Jewel was there with me every day from the very beginning, and it was a lot of work. So Jewel, you want to talk about the experience and the engagement that we had with the sisters at the booth?
Yeah, every day at the booth, one of the things that we always wanted to do was have a lot of interaction with the sisters because we were so excited to see the sisters that obviously are part of the network or acknowledge that they were one of the 44,000, but also new women who wanted to learn more. So we always had a question that we were asking, and usually twice a day in the morning and in the afternoon, we changed the question, and sisters could answer the question in a few different ways. We had our pull-up banners, and you could put the answer on a post-it, or you could also do a video in our photo booth. We had some fans that were super, super popular. And you had to either answer the question to get a fan, but also the booth itself allowed for immediate interaction and engagement because we had these 3 different areas where you could take a picture. You could sit down and take a beautiful photo in our seating. You could also stand at the backdrop or go over to the photo booth. So those were some of the things that we did on a daily basis.
Yeah, and we also had a section in our photo booth where it said I was one of the 44,000. So that was for our sisters that if you know, you knew who you were. And so some of them that saw it were like, I was so excited I was one of the 44,000. Sister Valerie Boudin, she was also working and then said, I'll come on a day or so and help you all out at the booth. And so she came on and volunteered with us for a whole entire day, even though she works for the mayor's office. So Sister Valerie, what was your experience like working with us at the booth?
So I'm gonna go with first putting faces to names of all these folks that I've been on these calls with now
Yeah.
for 5 years. Like let's go there.
Right, because you're OG too.
And be right and being in real life. The greatest amount of joy though came from, so we were situated very strategically right by the door as folks came in. And so the faces of all the women who came in and either were like, oh my God, I was on the call. I saw it on YouTube. I was, like all of those things.
Yeah.
And then the ladies that got my elevator pitch, because they were like, wait, I love this banner. I love the idea of women with Black women. Like, what is this about?
Yeah.
And you had that moment of sincerity with one person after another.
Mm-hmm.
It's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yes, I really love that too, being able to tell the women what it was all about because they were really interested to know. And what we learned, a lot of people still don't know about Women with Black Women. So we want to do a better job. And this is why this was so important for us to have this presence of essence so we could engage with the women. And my sister Letitia Jackson, South Alabama Black Women's Roundtable leader, whoop, whoop, she was in the house and she was over at the booth telling everybody about Women with Black Women. She's going down the line. Those ladies was waiting for their fans, and she was like, "Y'all got to join this call. It's very important. You need to be informed." And I said, "I need you to come back and help us at this booth so people can know why they need to join the call." So, Letitia, tell us about your experience.
It was amazing. I think that the one thing that stood out to me the most was how many of the women that came by the booth actually knew Women with Black Women and actually were on the call on the 44,000. You didn't have to say if you were one of the 44,000 or not. They automatically said they saw the sign. They're like, "Oh, I was one of the 44,000." But then we
Yes.
did have some women who came up that did not know anything about Women with Black Women, and once they heard about it, they clicked on the QR code. They said, "We're going to join the calls." It was amazing. And, it was just amazing. Like woman after woman, thousands of women coming by and just, feeling good about being a Black woman and feeling good about being a part of the 44,000 and and talking about being on the calls every week. I was really amazed. I knew that it was special. I knew that Women with Black Women had a really, really good connection with Black women across the country, but to actually experience it in person was just awesome.
Yes. I called it taking the call to an event, right? Bringing the call in real time because like Ms. Sister Valerie says, we've been on these calls for 5 years straight. We've had some events here and there throughout the last couple of years, but not a ton. So a lot of times everybody that we know are in the boxes. And so it's so great and fun to see everybody outside of the Zooms. And so we just had a great time. I'll also say a lot of folks, and I see you all talking about this in the chat, they were talking about the t-shirts. Sister Valerie showed up with her. She was like, "Oh, I'm wearing my t-shirt." She already had a t-shirt. I told y'all she an OG. So she got her t-shirt. So we had shirts for our volunteers, so we didn't have shirts to sell. And but we are next year, we will be prepared with our store. We will revamping our merch, and we will have t-shirts and all the things for you all. And so we can't wait to get our sisters out at Essence Fest. And we want more of our Women Black Women sisters to be a part of the experience and join the fun. And we're looking forward to doing it again. Anything else you all would like to say before we turn it back over to Jateka? She may have more questions for us.
Just like to add that the fans were so popular. When we ran out, we actually had to just stand guard with the last two fans that we had. They were so popular.
Yes, they were fighting us for those fans. The first day, Jewel, we made the fatal mistake of having the fans ready soon as the doors open, and boy, we were swarmed. And so we learned, we was like, no, hold the fans back and let the ladies come on in and run to the booths and like let's let them come to us. And Joteka was like, "Where everybody?" And we're like, "They will come soon as we say fans, they come out of the woodworks." And we were excited about the special guest. So just take a thank you and thank everybody that helped us. We had Raheem Devon, we had the mayor, we had so many guests. We had President Stacey Grant was visiting our booth. We had Bishop Leah Daughtry, Sister Mignon Moore joined us. I mean, we had a good time, and we were excited to see our sisters that have been holding us down on the calls for forever, like coming on and joining us at the booth and having a good time. Everybody loved the video booth, and so our team is going to be posting more of our content because we want you all to see the video submissions by the sisters because they were really excited about their questions and really passionate answers, and even the affirmations were really great on the walls as well. So thank you all so much for being a part of this and being a part of the experience on the ground in real time. Y'all were helping me holding it down. So Joe, I'll take it back to you.
Well, thank you. And Christina Q, thank you so much for all of your leadership and your vision. You were really the visionary that put that entire operation together, soup to nuts. And we are so proud of all of our Black women vendors that we engage in
All
order
Black women
to
vendors.
all Black women vendors
Yes.
in order to engage and to make it happen. And thank you to every sister that is on this screen that was there and those who are not on this screen, and our volunteers, even our good brothers that volunteered with us as well. Shout out to Brother Justin, who was there on the ground. And we heard you loud and clear, sisters. Number one, you want a Win with Black Women store to be rebooted. We are working on a store soon to come back, a rebooting of the store where you'll be able to buy new merchandise, all of the things that you want. We heard you loud and clear. You want a 44,000, you want some 92%, some 44,000. I heard you loud and clear, Karen Finney, a Win with Black Women OG. I dare say we need a Jewel Love t-shirt, because let me tell you, when people met Jewel Love and they saw Jewel Love, they were like, that's Jewel Love. I get Jewel Love's emails. So I have a little idea of a Jewel Love email t-shirt. But we heard you loud and clear. And we also heard you loud and clear that you want to connect more out in the world. You want to see Win with Black Women. You want to be able to connect with other sisters. So hopefully there'll be opportunities at future gatherings where we can all come together in fellowship, but also to get great information and hopefully be poured back into the amazing Black women-led and Black women-centered organizations that are across the country, so that we as this network can pour back into organizations that are doing work on a day-to-day basis. So we're hearing you loud and clear, and we are working and planning to get that merch to you. And we are in conversations with partners about other partnerships that Win with Black Women can engage in, that allow for us to connect in person and also more digitally. And I must say, personally, I get the honor of meeting. I always joke, but I really feel this. I feel like I have met at least 10,000 of the 44,000. It is beautiful when I am traveling around the country, whether I'm in the airport or I am at a conference. You walk up to me and you say, I was one of the 44,000. I'm on the calls. You thank us for the work, and that goes, it is so appreciated just to hear, because there are so many women like the women that you see on this screen and so many others that power Win with Black Women every single day. So we appreciate when we hear from you. We appreciate when we hear your feedback. And shout out to the National Medical Association. I was just with you in Chicago, and it was an honor to be with 800 Black women doctors. It was so powerful. And when I asked how many of you were on the call, I think just about the entire room raised their hand. It was very special. And I'll be back in Chicago at the end of this week with the Chicago Black Women's Expo. And I just want to just say something about that expo. It's an expo that has been going on for 30 years. And recently, the founder of that expo shared that all of a sudden sponsors were pulling out. And we see this is happening all too often across the country, particularly with events that are centering Black women or led by Black women. And it's something that I think I wanted to personally just say, I'm super honored to be headed out to Chicago to support that event. And if you are in the Chicagoland area, I'm going to encourage you to support that event like we support all of our other Black women-led organizations, because we are who we are. So again, thank you all so much. Christina Q, over to you.
Yes, I just have to call out our volunteers who were with us every single day. You already called out Justin Young, but my cousin Patsy Scott, who came, my line sister who drove with her daughter from South Carolina to be with us every single day. Jewel, who else am I missing? Help me out. I'm trying to do it off the top of my head.
On the very first day, the wonderful sister who came,
yes,
and started out. And then we had the sisters who were coming but got into an accident, a car accident.
Yes.
Excuse me for blanking on the name right now, but they know who they are. And
Sister
so we
Jada.
want to,
Yep,
yes,
Sister Jada.
yes.
from
Yes.
Louisiana, and Letitia Jackson. Our Black Women Roundtable sisters from Louisiana helped us recruit some sisters to join us, and they were unfortunately in an accident. So, so yeah, when I tell y'all we had a time, it was a lot going on. But thank you so much to all the volunteers who helped us every single day. And our driver, Mr. BJ, he was amazing. And so we just couldn't have done it. It was a super team effort, and so we appreciate everybody that supported us through that because we'll be ready for next year, and we'll be ready to do it bigger and better. Anybody else have anything else before we closed out? Okay, thanks, Shateka. We appreciate
Thank you. Thank you. And we'll
everybody.
see you all soon.
Yes.
All righty. Well, over to the sister with all the updates and the announcements, Sister Chantel Mullen. How you doing, sister? You
Hey.
look nice there today, as always. So good to see you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have just a few very exciting announcements. So over to the board. All right. Just a reminder, today is July the 27th. We've got 4 more calls in this third quarter. So make sure that you have already signed up for August the 10th, the 24th, September 7th, and the September 21st call. Our link is still our bit.ly WWBW Sunday call link. You can register that at any time. Make sure you're sharing that with your friends and your network so they can be connected to the call as well. Our all-state meetings. The next one is going to happen on August the 11th. Don't forget, there are 2 different times, 7 p.m. for Eastern and Central time zones, and 8:30 p.m. for Mountain, Pacific, and for Mountain and Pacific time zones, plus Hawaii and Alaska. And that's all Eastern time. You can always use the standing link, which is our WWBW state organizing link. And of course, that's a bit.ly link to make sure that if you want to get connected with the sisters at the state level, you can do that by joining one of those state meetings. And if there isn't a Win with Black Women state gathering in your state, you join the call and ask how to get one started. Just a reminder, it's getting closer and closer, y'all. Some of these events that are happening around the annual legislative conference for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation, they're starting to sell out. Early bird pricing ends September the 5th, but you might want to go ahead and get your ticket. It is going fast. We've had all of these wonderful legislators on. You can meet all of the Black Caucus members at the Black Caucus Foundation. They hold wonderful events. You can see them walking down the hall. They interact with you. So this is a great conference if you have never been. Just wanted to let you know, Vote to Live Project and the Collective PAC, they have relaunched the Black Political Leadership Institute, and the next session is happening at Howard University on Friday, August the 1st, and it goes through Saturday, August the 2nd. After that, they'll be in Houston, Texas. This is an institute. They are looking to equip and empower our people with the tools to lead, organize, and make change. So if you are interested, click the link and sign up. The tickets are going fast. I was looking at them earlier. They're going fast. So hope to see you over there at Howard. Then we also have on July the 31st happening at noon Eastern Time, Why We Lead, Black Women Owning Space in Politics and Consulting. Our good sister, Tamika Booker, is going to be talking with the president of Emerge, Ashanti Golar. And you don't want to miss this conversation. You don't want to miss it. So Sign up, use the link, mark your calendar, July 31st. Earlier, we heard from our sisters from Texas. And so I just wanted to add in, if you missed this earlier, here is their QR code. So you can support the Texas Black Caucus Foundation. Also, if you want, there are some Senate redistricting hearing dates. One is tomorrow, happening at 3 p.m. This is likely Central Time because Texas is on Central Time. We also have another one happening on July the 29th. And so there are regional focuses. This will be by Zoom video conference, and there will be public testimony. And so you can also, and this is very important, sisters, you can also submit written comments. There is a public input portal. So make sure that you go to the Senate website, to that redistricting section, and submit your written comments. So that will be in the record. That is really important should they have to move forward with any kind of litigation strategy, because they want to say that the people were or were not for whatever is happening. And then the last, there's going to be another redistricting hearing on July the 28th at the University of Texas in Arlington. So mark all of these dates down so you can be informed. Also share them with your community, not just you write a comment or you show up. Ask other people to come with you or submit their own comments. You know, this is an announcement sent in by one of our sisters who is in Atlanta, Sister Jamie Murphy. She is having a photo exhibit at the Auburn Avenue Research Library. They're doing a soft launch and then an opening reception. And she sent this in to invite you if you are in Atlanta. The title of her photo exhibit, which is honoring Black women, is Softness Was Always Ours. And she has gone through thousands of photographs and curated this exhibit. I hope you get an opportunity, if you're in Atlanta, to attend this event and support Sister Jamie Murphy. Also, I just wanted to point out that yesterday, July the 26th, was the 35th anniversary of the American with Disabilities Act. It was signed into law 35 years ago. There's a link for the ADA anniversary toolkit, but I just wanted to highlight this for just a moment because there's over 44.7 million as of the last survey of our population in the US with a disability. And so as we move, we all likely know someone who does have a disability. But you know what else is happening? Because you know there's lots happening with this administration. They have proposed to modify the regulations that implement Section 503 of the Rehabilitation Act. This proposed change would end the proposed rule for the 7% disability hiring goal for federal contractors, and also the practice of collecting data about hiring. But you know what you can do? You can make a comment. And so the comment period is open until September the 2nd, at 11:59 p.m. And you can use that link that we've created there to go straight to the comment section and let this administration know what you think about the changes to the rule. It is really important that you provide your feedback and that you comment, because when we don't comment, they think that everything is okay. And it's not just up to our elected officials to comment. The comment period is actually for the general public. So they want to know what you think. Is it important to you? So we hope that you will take an opportunity to reach out and give your comment. But I also just want to take a moment and lift up the Black women champions that we have had working in the disability space. We all need champions. And so take a moment, think about those that you know. Pick up your phone and send them a text message. Say thank you to them because they are continuing the fight. We all know that this is hard work. This is time-consuming work. And there's going to be activities and engagements throughout the month of August. And so as we receive those, we will be sharing those with you. Last couple of announcements, reminding you about our candidate conversations. We're going to kick those back off in August. So if you can go ahead and sign up, we have added in some new dates. We know that there are lots and lots of women running in 2025. And actually, in a few months or weeks, we might have our 2026 link up. So we're going to create a separate link for our sisters who are running in 2026. Just a reminder, if you're running in 2025, sign up for our Black women running for office, our Black women candidates. You know, Sisters Lead, Sisters Vote did that fabulous Black women elected 2024. Looks like we might have that again in 2025. We want you to be included. We want to amplify your candidacy and show how Black women are really moving. If you have an opportunity, we're going to send that to Jewel Love's attention at info@winwithblackwomen.org. The weekly deadline for providing these new opportunities is Thursday by 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, if you have any announcements, you send those also to info@winwithblackwomen.org with the subject line announcements, and get those announcements to us for the Sunday call on the Saturday before by 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And lastly, if you want to send a little love offering to Win with Black Women, here's our C4 donation link. And as always, we're going to drop these into the Win with Black Women Facebook group. And if you also check the resources, the announcements are there as well. Thank you, Joteka, and back to you.
Thank you so much, Chantel. Always so informative. And sisters, we've come to the end of our agenda, but not the end of our time with each other. And it's such an honor to have this warrior queen, this advocate, and this Win with Black Women OG, Sister Shira Arrington, to close us in the spirit.
Sister Joteka, thank you so much. And ladies, if you don't mind, I'm going to read from the book of Ecclesiastes 3:1, and it says, "There is a time for everything. There is a time for everything that is done on earth. There is a time to be born. There is a time to die. There is a time to plant. There's a time to pull up what is planted. There's a time to kill. There's a time to heal. There's a time to tear down. And there is time to build up." As I bow my head and I ask you guys to join me in prayer, Father God, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for this time. We thank you for such a time as this.